To top wrap or not to top wrap? That is the question. So hello everybody and welcome to a new video and welcome to my channel where we talk about everything music from death metal to Queen and everything in between. On today's video, I'll try to answer the age-old question. Should I top wrap my strings or should I not top wrap my strings? And of course, it's all subjective and it's all a matter of preference, but I am going to try to keep it as subjective as possible. Alright, so let's get it out of the way. Scan this, I know you want to. Here, I'll wait. Alright, so now that that's out of the way, let's talk about the guitar and let's talk about the matter at hand. Alright, so here's a Les Paul. In case you don't know what top wrapping means, this is basically the way a Les Paul is strung out of the factory. Okay, so we have a tailpiece, a bridge, and we've got the strings going through the stop tail and onto the bridge, and of course onto the nut and the tuning keys. Okay, so this is the normal way. This is the way they're supposed to be strung. Now here's the deal and the actual reason why I want to try this out. For the longest time I played guitar with 9-gauge strings on a Les Paul and it was fine, it was great. They felt soft and smooth and super bendable. I like to bend strings as far as 1.5, maybe even 2 steps up. So I need a string that'll bend. So here's what happened. Ever since I started the YouTube channel, in contrast to popular belief and my own, I actually don't have as much time to play guitar as I used to. So I guess my hand is not as strong as it used to be, so it's really hard for me to bend as far up as I used to. Even with a new set of 9-gauge strings, they still feel like 10-gauge strings to me. They feel tough, they feel really hard to bend, and I get really tired from playing. So of course, the Les Paul guitar is actually designed to counter that. So what you would do, and I did for the longest time, is you would actually raise these two poles, effectively raising the tailpiece on the guitar and lowering the tension on the strings, because of the fact that if you actually raise this up, then you have a much less sharp of an angle of the string going over the bridge, and that in turn will loosen the tension of the string itself. So you can still tune to pitch, but it'll feel a lot looser on your hand, and that was fine. But now here's where things actually start to get a little tricky. After doing that for the longest time, I mean it's been years. I actually of course got used to the feel of the guitar, but also I actually got used to the sound of the guitar, which always felt a little off to me, but you know, I just learned to live with it. And also I never put 2 and 2 together until one time I was actually playing somebody else's guitar and I felt the difference in resonance. And here's the key word: felt. So without actually going into a big debate, I gotta tell you, there's a lot of people out there that will tell you that once you raise the tailpiece, you're actually going to get a lot less sustain. And honestly, I haven't found that to be true at all. Now that this is lowered all the way down, I still get the same amount of sustain. Because really, let's be serious, how much sustain do you want? Once you get a decent enough guitar that is set up and you go through compression and distortion, you are going to get at least 5 seconds of sustain. So yeah, that's more than plenty. And if you're playing a clean guitar and you need more sustain, just put it through a compressor pedal and that'll do the trick. So yeah, sustain is definitely not the issue here. But I'll tell you what though, you do get less resonance. And by resonance, I don't really mean that the tone necessarily changes. In fact, it pretty much remains the same, but you feel it differently. And that's what I want to stress: the feeling of the guitar. And that is a subject that not a lot of people touch on, and I think it's vital to the way you play and the way you connect with the instrument. Okay, so let's talk physics for a little bit. Here's the deal. Here's the guitar itself, and if you see, there's 2 poles right here. So the way this works is that you actually have 2 threaded pegs that are just basically just hammered into the wood, and that is connected to the tailpiece with these 2 screws that are screwed into that thread. So if you raise the tailpiece, then you have less of the screws inside of that thread, so a lot of that vibration of the strings is actually not translated into the body itself, because it's lost on the screw that's not screwed in all the way through. So yeah, definitely, acoustically anyway, you can definitely feel the difference once you screw in the tailpiece all the way through. You can definitely feel all the vibrations of the strings being transferred to the body of the guitar and onto your body, and that feeling to me is amazing. Now physically speaking, if we want to get really technical about it, the fact that all the movements of the strings are being transferred onto the guitar body and onto your body are actually going to add and affect the tone of the guitar. But really, honestly, you can't really hear that on a recording. You can't really hear that through distortion. But you are going to feel it, which is my big point here. I always play differently once I feel the guitar. And I think that's also the biggest difference between playing with an amplifier and playing with plugins. Plugins sound great, they just don't feel great. And also the way the guitar reacts and interacts with that air being blown out of the speakers makes it for an awesome experience. Something that sadly you can't get out of plugins. And especially if you're listening to it through headphones. That's just Anyway, so what's the point of the video? Top wrapping. Okay, so the reason why I want to try out top wrapping is because I can actually screw in the tailpiece all the way in and actually top wrap, which means I'm going to have the strings go out this way instead and go around the tailpiece. So it's going to wrap around the top of the tailpiece and then it's going to shoot down all the way down to the nut over the bridge. So what that's going to do is that it's going to allow me to screw the tailpiece all the way in, but by going around the tailpiece is actually going to raise the string and it's going to lower the tension on the string itself, making it more comfortable to play, for me anyway, making the strings more bendable, but transferring all of the strings vibration onto the body and onto my body. So let's see if that is the case. Okay, so here we go. We're going to restring the guitar. I'm going to take the strings off and I'm going to wrap around, so top wrap the new strings on here. First of all, let's take the strings off of it and let's clean up the fretboard and the body of the guitar because it's gunky as hell. Now, of course, what I'm going to use is the StageFix guitar polish. This is safe for all finishes, matte, poly, whatever you throw at it, it'll clean it. So yeah, this is not a sponsored video, but if you do want to get 10% off on your purchase, make sure you use my discount code. It'll be linked on the description box below. Alright, so I'm going to clean the guitar up and we got to make sure that we don't play with these guys here because we want to keep the action the same as it is now. Okay, so now that the strings are off, make sure you clean off all of these grooves here. You can use a pencil too if you want to lubricate them, or you can use any old string cleaner, that'll work, or of course the Big Ben's nut sauce. Since they already sent me this, I am going to use it, but again, not a sponsored video. So you can just do this very easily, very quickly. That's really all you need. All right, so let's clean up the body of the guitar itself. Now the StageFix formula is actually a dual component formula, so you have to shake it up before applying, but it works awesome. And also, I love the smell of it. It smells like vanilla and coconut. Just a quick once over. Just want to clean it up, get rid of some of the gunk. Not the best lighting, so I don't know how great of a job I'm doing. All right, that looks good enough. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to screw these in all the way in. There we go. Place the bridge. And now the tailpiece. Pro tip, let's get that in there. That way it won't move. Alright, so now that I'm back up here with better lighting, I can see what a bum job I did polishing this guitar up. So now this is a little bit better, isn't it? Wow, look at that shine. Of course, I'm going to need something a little bit more abrasive if I want to get rid of that and some of the micro scratches. But, dude, look at that. It's like a mirror. Anyhow, first impressions. The only thing I did is I tuned it up. That's all I've done to the guitar. I haven't even strummed it yet. Alright, so far, one of the things I can definitely tell you is the fact that it takes a lot longer to restring a guitar than it did with the regular string through the tailpiece method. So, is it worth it? Let's find out. We're going to try it out acoustically and see if there's any difference at all, and then we're going to try it out with the plugin to see what it sounds like. Basically to see if any of the differences we find, if we do find any, are actually translated into a recording setting. Okay, so this is what the guitar sounds like now. Alright, so first impressions. It's not as bright as it used to be. I think going through the bridge, it's actually brighter sounding. So take that as you may. Also, it's a little bit louder. It does sound like it resonates more, but it doesn't sound like it resonates against my body anymore. It doesn't feel like it resonates against my body any more than it did going string through the tailpiece. It does feel like it resonates more against the tailpiece itself, and thus sounding a little bit warmer and a little bit louder, I suppose. But sounds brassy. Now, as far as the tension goes, which is one of the most important things and why I did this basically, it definitely feels like a lighter tension string. It definitely feels more bendable. Yeah, check that out. Wow, that's awesome. Feels like I'm gonna have to get used to the new tension now. Of course, new strings, they already out of tune. Alright, so I'm really used to this sound because it's basically my setting for recording and stuff whenever I'm doing some YouTube video or, you know, guitar lessons. So I really know that sound, and it doesn't sound like it always does. It definitely sounds different. It's not as sharp sounding, if that makes any sense. It's not as bright sounding. It's not as... it lacks a little attack. I mean, it's not bad. I'm just used to how it usually sounds, and this is not it. It's odd. It's definitely something I gotta get used to. Do I like it better? I like the way it feels better. I definitely don't like the way it sounds better. To be honest, most of the guys that are doing the top rap are blues guys. And blues guys and jazz guys like the thick tones. They like to have less attack and more of a rounded, more of a fat sound. So I can see why they would like this. It does not seem like you're losing any more sustain than before, but it definitely doesn't resonate the way I thought it was going to. So... honestly, to me, kind of a disappointment. I mean, I knew the physics and the theory behind it, so I thought it was going to work. But I thought I was going to feel more of a difference as far as the resonating of the guitar goes. But honestly, it does sound louder, but it seems like it's resonating that way and not into the body itself, if that makes any sense. I don't feel it vibrating as much as I usually do. So yeah, kind of a misfire on that. Now, as far as the sound goes, I definitely like it best with the tailpiece all the way down and the strings just going through the tailpiece normally. In fact, I would argue, and this is completely subjective, that it even sounds better if you bring this all the way up and just string it through the normal way. It does not sound as good as with the tailpiece all the way down, but it definitely sounds better than this way. Your mileage may vary. You might want that thick sound, and that's all fine and dandy. I like the attack. I play metal. I want that attack. I want that undescribable feeling you get when you go. See, even acoustically, you don't hear it as much. There's even a weird pinging there. I've never heard that before. I mean, honestly, definitely you probably need to set it up again after doing something like this, because the intonation is probably going to be a little bit off. But since I was just trying this out, this was basically just an experiment for you guys and for myself, I am probably going to revert back to, you know, regular string through as opposed to this. So yeah, is it worth it? To me, no. To you, maybe. If you like a thicker sound and a louder guitar, maybe, definitely. But if you like more attack and you want to feel the guitar resonating against your body, string through, baby. Anyway, guys, I really hope you guys enjoyed the video. Please drop me a like if you did. Drop me a comment in the comment section down below. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel like a man if you haven't yet. And if you enjoyed the content and you want to help support the channel big time and maybe help me pay for a new set of strings, please consider becoming a patron to the channel. A little goes a long way and we surely do appreciate it. I'll see you guys next time. Pat out. Metal on, dudes.